All right, guys, today we're going to take a look at multiplying a fraction times another fraction. Okay, so we have a couple of different strategies that we can use for that. We're going to start off right now with an area model because we use that a lot during our multiplication. So remember, an area model, you're finding the area of some sort of rectangle. So you're taking a rectangle, say something that's maybe 4 units long and something that's 5 units long, and you're finding the area of it. And we know the formula for area is the length times the width. So we're doing 4 times 5. And we could, if we wanted to, we could break that up into 4 even units this way and 5 units this way to make how many squares. And we'd find that there are 20 square units in there. Now, realistically, this is going to be very similar. So we're doing 2/3 and 1/4. So it's the area model. So you need a rectangle to make the area. Okay. Now it doesn't matter which one you make on which side, just like it doesn't matter over here. So, over here, I'll go ahead, I'll make 1/4 on top. Now the reason I'm putting this one on top is because it's longer this way, and I know I'm going to have to break it up into 4 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put 2/3 then on this side over here. So now we're doing 1/4 times 2/3. Now, for the purpose of this part right here, technically probably should look more like a square, is what I'm going to say is that this whole side right here is equal to one whole unit. I don't want a whole unit. I only want a fourth of it. So I'm going to break it in half and then into fourths. And I'm only getting one out of the 4 pieces. That's my 1/4. Okay. So we can see that right now I have 1/4. Now I'm going to do the same thing going this way, assuming the going up and down was just one whole unit. I don't want a whole unit. What I instead want is I want it to be broken up in thirds, and I want 2/3, 2 out of the 3 pieces. So taking a look, that's my 2/3. Now my answer is where we see this overlap. So right here, this little section right there is a big part of my answer because that's showing the numerator times the numerator, 2 whole pieces here. So I know that my numerator is going to be 2 pieces. The whole picture here is showing how many total number of pieces there are, which is the 3 times 4, which would be 12 pieces. So my answer altogether would be that 2/3 times 1/4 equals 2/12, or 1/6 if you're simplifying it down. Okay, we're going to take a look at just one more of those in a second. All right, so this is the next problem we're going to take a look at. We're going to do what 4/5 times 1/3 is. Again, it's an area model, so you need some sort of rectangle for your area. Now, realistically, like I said before, this probably should be a square because I'm having each side represent one total unit. On this side over here, I'm going to have this represent a third, okay? So that means that on top, we're looking at my 4/5. Now, breaking it apart. It doesn't really matter which way I break it apart first. Let's do the easy way with 1/3. So I'm going to break this up into 3 roughly equal sized pieces, and I get 1 out of the 3 pieces. There's my 1/3. Now, I'm going to do the same thing for the 4/5. Fifths is always kind of a pain to do. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. And 4 cuts will make my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Now I'm getting 4/5 of them. So almost the whole thing. So right there, just thinking about it, 4/5 is almost the whole thing, which means my answer will be almost this whole piece that's already shaded in. So my answer should be somewhere close to 1/3, but it's going to be smaller than 1/3 because I'm not going to get all of the 1/3. I'm only going to get 4 out of the 5 pieces of it. So I know that although my answer may be close to 1/3, it is going to be smaller than it. So when I'm multiplying the fractions together, my answer should be getting smaller. That's something I should be paying attention to. So taking a look, I needed to shade this in. So I'm shading in my 4 out of 5 pieces. I'm looking up here for where the double shading is, where it's shaded both brown and blue. That piece right there should represent my numerator, the 1 times 4, which oddly enough, is 4. Now, this whole giant thing right here should be representing the array made when I multiply the 3 times the 5, which is 15. So my end answer is 4/15, okay? Which is actually very close to 1/3 because 1/3, if I was changing it into 15ths, would be 5/15. So it is close to the 1/3 because I was multiplying it by a number that's almost 1, but it is smaller than it because I didn't get the whole 1/3. I only got a fraction of it. So when you're multiplying, that's one thing I want you to be paying attention to do today. When you multiply by fractions, if the fraction is smaller than 1, then your answer should be getting smaller because you're getting less than the whole thing. Okay, so obviously, if you're getting less than a whole, okay, it's getting smaller. If I'm getting less than a whole 1/3, it's got to be smaller than 1/3. Hopefully, that helps you out today as you're trying your work.